Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I want to educate you about sober living, or as we refer to it, recovery residence. And I found a really great article that I will cite to you in the description with this video about why sober living is a critical step in lasting recovery. And this is a great article. It talks about, why should somebody go to live in a recovery residence once they get out of treatment. It talks about the environment that it fosters, right? One of nurturing and support, right? You've got a sense of community, but there are also strict rules for living in the recovery residence. Obviously, if you're using, well, you're probably going to get kicked out. And I think this is a critical piece of the journey into recovery. And I say journey because recovery is not a destination; it's a journey. It's a place you probably never really get to. And what I mean by that is that once somebody experiences recovery, long-term recovery, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, those individuals, I'm willing to bet, are working on their recovery, if not daily, certainly weekly. I have been very blessed to have some really good friends in the behavioral health space who have experienced long-term recovery, and without exception, they go to at least 1 or 2 meetings every week. My wife and I were just on a cruise. There was a meeting every single day on that cruise ship if you wanted to go. And those are folks obviously that are working on their recovery, and I tip my hat to them. I have enormous respect for individuals doing the work that needs to be done so they can maintain recovery for the rest of their life. Now, when a family comes to us, the goal is, I guess, twofold. One, if they're going to hire us, we want to try and get this right the first time so they don't have to keep doing this. Forget that, the time and expense and energy. It's frustrating when we have to go back to court multiple times, right, for us and for the family. So we want to get it right the first time. But the conversation we're going to have with a family is that this is going to take time. And, we typically share with the family, this is a year-long journey. You don't have to hire us for a year, although in many instances we're going to be on the case for a year. We may not be actively working on it and billing you, but we are counsel of record. Right? Once we're in a case, we can't just walk away. We need the court's permission unless the case is over. So if it's going to be a year-long journey that your loved one's going to be working on the recovery, what is the family doing? Well, the goal is for the family to also work, right? What I mean by that is, if you're like any of the thousands of families that we have spoken to over the years, I have to imagine that the last several years have been very stressful. They're traumatizing. You're all exhausted. And so it's very important for the family to, if they can, work the family program. And what I mean by that is most great treatment centers will have a family program that the family can attend to. Because, if you look on our website, you'll see on the top it says, "We Save Families." This is not just about saving your loved one, it's about saving your family. But I will tell you, if we don't save your loved one, right, if that does not happen, it's probably going to destroy your family too. So it's about the family, your loved one, you, everybody in the family, right? And so we want to make sure that the family heals together. Now, with that said, if it's a year-long journey, where does the sober living component fit into this? Well, typically, we want somebody to go through at least 3 to 6 months of really good treatment, residential, partial hospitalization. And then we can talk about what's known as the continuum of care. What does that look like? Well, it means that they're probably going to live in a recovery residence, right? Whether it's one that supports, whether it's substance use based, mental illness based, or whatever, something that's clinically appropriate for your loved one. And so they're living in this supportive environment. They may well be able to go back to work, if not on a full-time, certainly on a part-time basis. And also we want them probably going to meetings, getting a sponsor, continue with some type of outpatient care. So the whole idea of the recovery residence is that we want to keep the person in a stable, supportive, structured environment. We don't want them going back to the environment they were living in, because that's when all hell broke loose. That's when I hate to use the word loser friends, but I'm going to use the word loser friends, right? Individuals that did not support recovery. In fact, they supported this crazy lifestyle that your loved one was maintaining. And so we want to keep them in a safe environment. And that's where the recovery residence comes in. And it's a really important piece of the puzzle. And I can't tell you how frustrating it is for us when somebody comes to us and says, oh, I spoke to so-and-so, or I spoke to this treatment center. They said, oh, you just need to do 30 days or 60 days and then they're good to go. No, that is that's ridiculous, and it's not true, and it's, to be blunt, it's BS, okay? It takes a year. If you want this to be the forever recovery journey, think of it as a year-long journey. And anybody tells you that you can just, come into the treatment center, do 30 days, and you're good to go, I'm sorry, they're selling you a bridge or the Eiffel Tower, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't work that way. Maybe in the movies, but not in the universe that I live in, which is the real world of recovery. So anyway, I'll post a link to the article. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to share it with you. If you have any questions or comments, and I would challenge you to post questions if you have, because I love to respond to these. I read all of them, and I typically respond within a day. Please do so. If you like the content, I'd love a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel so you can get more of this free content. And with that said, thank you for tuning in. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.